As we near China, upon this comfortable adventure around the Pacific in 80 days, cruisers in our spaceship, lulled into endless enjoyment, are now only too happy to let someone else arrange the sunsets. The tropics have sunk below the horizon, and we're still isolated from the world in our immense floating resort. But by now, all our 1,100 shipmates seem mildly transmogrified. Inhibitions lost, hidden talents emerging. Who, for example, would have expected to find singing with the Joe Loss Band a world-famous surgeon? Dr. Christian Barnard, the South African who transplanted the first heart. So taken out of himself, he's behaving like a heartthrob, while the Earl of Lichfield's behaving like a photographer. Upon his fellow cruisers, Professor Barnard lays a little lilting Afrikaans.
Nog lang voor die oorlog het begin. O, breng mij terug naar die oude Transvaal.
I'd suggested he sing something more relevant, like I left my heart in San Francisco, or why not take all of me, or maybe even Mac the Knife. But, smooth operator that he is, he only knew the actions, not the words. The QE2 reaches China. British China, that is. This is China's capitalist flip side. Hong Kong. The Crown Colony's population is 98% Chinese, like the QE2's pilot today. Their sea city awakes at dawn. This serene setting is the improbable graveyard for a sister ship, as Captain Arnott recalls.
Yes, it's Queen Elizabeth. When she caught fire and sank, she was just over there in the bay. And she's been completely cut away now, so there's nothing left.
It's a rather sad moment. Did you ever serve on that?
Yes, for a long period in the 1950s in particular, yes.
Did you?
Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a great ship.
His great ship, crisscrossed by star ferries, moves majestically through this merchant city, which, with no resources at all in its 400 square miles, except its 5 million people, needs to import everything, even drinking water. Yet Hong Kong has become the golden dream city at the end of the Chinese rainbow. This ocean terminal at Kowloon's the perfect port of call for all cruise liners, for, first of all, they anchor downtown amid all that shopping, which pleases passengers. Then there's a workforce that's ready, willing and cheap, which pleases ship owners. So instantly, the well-trained thousands swarm over this Leviathan like ants upon an elephant, finding their way into the most improbable places. Those on the high rope seem poised for some death-defying circus act. Though to them, it's all in a day's wage. With no lines of demarcation, no restrictive practices, no inter-union rivalries, these hordes of workers will live on board during the 3 days the QE2's in port, sleeping rough in whatever corners they can find when the hammering has to stop. They're everywhere. Fixing air conditioning, changing carpets, even polishing the ceilings. In the midst of this spring clean, Cunard contrived to get their vast holiday machine shipshape while its paying guests are in residence, mainly by encouraging them to go ashore and keep out of the way during working hours. So, while our backs are turned, New faces appear on the sun deck. New shipboard activities take over where yesterday they were playing shuffleboard. The name of this game is concentration, so amid the noisy shambles, the poolside loungers are out of action. The QE2 certainly needs all the attention she can get, for after the Falklands expedition, her hull had been painted a delicate grey, and there's no doubt it does show the dirt. The intention now is to send her out of Hong Kong looking whiter than white. Far below their unmechanised approach, one paint junk does duty as safety boat for anyone who loses his grip. British workers may prefer to stay securely on the rails, but in Hong Kong they know the ropes. None of that sissy stuff with safety lines or scaffolding. You see what I mean about circus acts. There's more Chinese enterprise inboard. Merchants have come bearing trinkets to sell to the crew. Every working alleyway becomes a bazaar.
After you go through this checkpoint, you will meet a custom counter, where the custom officers will check all your belongings according to your declaration form. Have you all filled in your declaration form? Will you please show me your declaration form?
All that Hong Kong hard sell, all those acrobatic worker ants can make life noisy for the fortunate drones who are trying to enjoy a peaceful cruise. So we're encouraged to fly away, and hundreds of us escape into China.
This is the Chinese custom declaration form. You found all together 2 sheets of paper. First page red, second page black.
Some cruisers go on 5-day tours to Beijing and Shanghai, while others, having completed all those colourful forms, face up to a grey Chinese world at the Macau border.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to China. Now we are in the mainland China. This one-day tour with a go-to visit. One of the counties in this place is named Zhongshan County. But now we pass through this part. It's called Zhuhai City. And this place just like the farming area. But now our government decided to build up this place as the special economic zone and a special industrial area. So more buildings are being built, and factories, hotel buildings.
Shiki is the capital of this relatively affluent farming area in the Pearl River Delta, where cruisers arrive for lunch at its guest house. It sustains party officials and foreigners.
You have to put the top one between these 2 fingers.
All of them doing what comes quite naturally.
Look as though you're... I mean, here we are. Yeah, that's much nicer. Now.
And afterwards, the Shiki city tour. Last year, China produced fewer than 200,000 motor vehicles, but 25 million bicycles. There's also a certain amount of recycling. Shiki's only a few hours from Hong Kong, so locals are used to visitors. They're still easily distinguishable, but they no longer stop the traffic. Then it's goodbye, Shiki, and it's hello, countryside. Cruisers observe Peking duck on the hoof. And discover that it's the buffaloes that really need webbed feet. They consider a Chinese laundry country style, and a showplace village we've motored hours to see, the one that's regularly subjected to such tourist examination. Down on the communal farm, cruisers take pictures of sweet and sour, soon to be absorbed into the party system. Back in Hong Kong, it's day 2 of the wash and brush up, when each pair of painters on each bobbing platform says, "You hold the brush, I'll steady the ship." For passengers remaining on board, there's honey still for tea, and only a passing face at the window to remind them shipboard life is not as usual. During our 3-day look-no-hands cliffhanger, only one dauntless painter fell off the face of this 13-story pile. Chap probably showed a yellow streak when they made him walk the plank. However, 1 or 2 of them were quite securely anchored. The turbines and boilers also demand Chinese attention. They've been known to play up in the past, and steaming 13,000 miles to the Falklands at 28 knots, flat out, didn't help.
In the hospital, that pipeline's back in, so we can put it back on. Okay? Now that one's still isolated there in the boiler room, so you can go ahead with that one. Okay?
Almost every year, some cruise grinds to an unhappy halt. And Cunard say ruefully that whatever goes wrong with this ship, it always hits the headlines and it always costs £1 million. Doesn't matter what it is, it's £1 million. But in Hong Kong today, this is not a repair, but a quick service for a mere £250,000. The QE2's new general manager, Captain Ridley.
Well, it's a continuing process. Unfortunately, the schedules we've been keeping haven't lent themselves to a long life in the boilers. Although, of course, the boilers are now 14 or 15 years old. And the ship will have steamed 2 million miles in the next day or so. That's more than the old Queen steamed.
Yes.
We reached the old Queen's target in about just over half the time.
Is that because she's steaming faster, or are you just getting more?
No, because we have less time in port.
Which is why, with running costs of £140,000 every day and schedules planned years ahead, repairs need to be fast. The ship has to move to earn, and boilers must be kept on the boil. Inside one of the QE2's 3 cavernous boilers, they're emptying the grate. And like the painting, this decoke is mainly done by hand. It's chippings with everything in this Chinese takeaway. The man who also keeps a firm eye on the outgoings, who in effect owns the QE2, the chairman of Trafalgar House, Nigel Brokes.
This ship cost about